Hey everybody, I'm Robert. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome down here to the studio. Today I want to talk about a couple different topics, and it's something that if you don't want to listen to all the BS, all the chit chat that goes through it, jump down into the timestamps below. We will log it for you so you know what we're talking about. But the main questions or the main topics today really are derived from the comment section, and two of them are really, I would say, negative comments. You might say trolling or people just jumping in to make a scene, but it brought up some very good topics that I thought would be useful for the channel today. Before I get into that, like I said, jump in the timestamp if you don't want to hear it all. But before I get into that, the E30 M3, you know that I drove it on the track this week and I had an absolute blast. I think I ended up doing 9 laps with the car. It met every goal that I had and actually probably added a few benchmarks for the car that I wasn't expecting. I should have been expecting them, watching how people drove the DTM cars and the race cars and everything like that on the track, seeing how they slide them around and everything. But when the car starts getting up, being pushed a little bit and up a little bit closer to its limit, it really is playful. Couple corners, I leaned on it a little bit and really started getting the feel for it, and I was majorly impressed by it. And as much as I want this to be a cruiser car, I'm going to have to hold myself back from going out and pushing it because it really wants to be wrung out. It wants to be pushed hard. So there's going to be a lot of fun coming from that. We've got a video where I've reconsidered some of the modifications I might want to make for it. And I really am having a hard time with the blue color. I think it's a beautiful color in the right light, but it gets too much light on it, it goes teal. It gets a little bit less light on it, and it goes really dark. And I'm not so happy with it. So I'm trying to push myself to keep that agreement to keep it red or keep it blue for the entire season. We'll see if that sticks around. But let's get right into it. I had 2 people on recent videos who came in pretty hard on me for various things, and one of them turned out quite well, and the other one kind of turned out a little bit silly, and I can't quite understand the mindset behind it. But I'll jump right into them because I think it's interesting for the channel. The first one was in the Yaris video where we went down to the Toyota dealership and had the motor torn apart, and I was talking about the motor and going over how the rockers are established and really just what's going on and what happened where the locks came out and different things like that. And somebody came in, and if I had a term wrong or if I had anything wrong, they just wanted to just, would you say, pound it into me and say, oh, you're an idiot for not coming up with the word lock and saying retainer instead. And I just went in and I said, what's the deal? Why do you have this attitude? Instead of coming in and talking and having a conversation, which is what the channel comment is about. And this person's name is Silky6, Silky6, SILKYSIXX is his name. And we went on for about 15, 20 comments back and forth. And at the end of it, I came in and I noticed that he had edited all of his negative comments, or most of his negative comments. And the very first one, he went back and he wrote this because I think this is really important for you guys to understand. He wrote, I wrote this comment with hate in my heart because I work in finance and am studying engineering. And I lost my cool about a very successful person having what I thought was poor attention to detail. What he actually has is the resources to have other people take care of this stuff and is also sharing the journey with us, both of which I can appreciate and respect. I've deleted what I originally wrote because it adds nothing to anybody's life, least of all mine. Guys, if you get into something on the internet and you can go back and write that at the end of it, you've done a great job. That takes a lot to go back and write. It's the internet. He's an anonymous person. He's sitting behind a keyboard, and he opened it up. And my first response to him after the negativity was, I said, at what point do you think the locks came out? I started asking different questions and listing them out in numbers so he could maybe stay on track and respond to them. And at the end of it, he came back and wrote this and said that it added nothing to anybody's life. And I thought that was really cool. I think it's neat when I look in our comment section and I see that people are actually able to do this, able to have a conversation and come back from it and completely change their attitude. I think that blows me away. Even if he felt that he was right in a lot of the things that he said, he came back and said, you know what, this isn't adding anything to anybody's life. So Silky6, that's really awesome of you. Stay towards the end of the video because I've got an offer for Silky6. I think it's going to be something that might make him happy and hopefully bring a lot of joy to him. So after we get done talking about all of this, I'm going to bring that up. The other one that came in was from Rally Racing 9. It didn't have such a happy ending, I would say. And his comment was after the E30 video of Misha and myself driving, he said, "You two overestimate yourself immensely." I just had a laugh, and my first response to him was, LOL, okay, why are you here? And his response was, "I'm on your canal," which I'm guessing he might be German or something along those lines because he used the word canal for channel, "because of the Yaris engine failure. Don't worry, when this topic is done, I'm away." And I said, "Man, I'm sad to see you not go now, because really, if we can't have a conversation at this point, what is the point of it?" So we went back and forth, and I said, "Look, I'm just looking for intelligent conversation. Maybe you can tell me why we overestimated ourselves. What problems did you have?" And at no point did he come back with a really good argument other than he just didn't like us, and he didn't like anything other than the Yaris topic. And that was disappointing to see, because we're out just having fun and we're enjoying the track. And so something that I clicked on his name, and I noticed that he actually has been kind of trolling a little bit more on the channel. On the video where I went out in the GT2 and I spoke about the Yaris incident, he said, "If you're on track, then focus on the track. Pretty pointless to roll around on the Nordschleife and to talk to your YouTube followers." And I said, "Could you please give me some justification to this statement?" That was a week prior. "Can you please give me a justification to this statement? At the moment, it's come across arrogant. It's come across as an arrogant line that has no basis." And he said, "I don't know what to justify. Just take it serious to drive the Nordschleife." So I went on to say, "Please tell me why. What is this? Why don't you think I'm taking it serious?" And he just came back with the simple concept, and that's what I actually want to talk about today. He came back with the simple concept of, you need to take the Nordschleife seriously. It's a dangerous track. It's a dangerous place to be. And one of his quotes later on was, "This is not a local back road. This is not somewhere that you can talk and drive at the same time." And it's really interesting because I think it, like I said, segues into a fantastic topic for today. And that is you doing what you know and the efficiency at which you do it. Okay? We have all this studio equipment back here, and if you ask me to make some changes to it, it's probably just going to shut the whole thing down and cut everything off. But if you have the guys that are down here, Julian, for example, who runs all this equipment, and the microphone's not working, he'll just come in and hit 3 buttons while he's on the phone talking to 3 people and walk off, and it'll work. And that just goes to show his proficiency in something that he does every day. When I started thinking about this and I started thinking about his case, he later on said, if I was to drive the Nordschleife, I would be completely focused on it because it's the green hell, And right now I have 6,000 laps on the Nürburgring, which is, or a little bit more than that, which is in comparison to many people, a drop in the bucket. And I do believe that every lap I'm still learning something about the Nürburgring, and I'm still figuring out my way around it and lines that I want to take in different conditions, and even different bumps and, would you say, imperfections to the track, and learning about those. But at the same time, I'm at a point that I could close my eyes and I can think about where every curbstone is, where every bump in the road is, how the car feels as it goes over these different bumps. And I'm not just talking in 10 different places. I could think about it through literally every centimeter or inch of the road of the things that you feel in the different cars. And of course, like I said, I'm learning more, and I'm learning how to use those and how to use them to my benefit. There's bumps that we use and learn to help rotate the car as you're coming into a turn because it can unsettle things. And, there's a lot of this stuff that we do, but the only reason that I'm able to do that is because I have that many laps on it. You'll find people that'll come to the track and be faster than I am on the Nürburgring in their 10th lap, but they won't have an ounce of the knowledge of the track that I do in terms of what it feels like. They just have better car control than I do. They just have better, their mechanics behind their driving style is better than mine, but they won't necessarily know the track better. They'll obviously pick it up a lot faster, but they're throwing a car around and using their fundamental knowledge of how a car works and just natural given talent to be fast. But I, on the other hand, have driven 6,000 times, and I was driving to work today, and I had a thought, and I said, this is interesting. I'm driving here to work. I'm leaving my house. I go down the same road, the same hill every single day. How many days would I have to go on this road to equal the number of laps that I've done on the Nürburgring? And I did a quick calculation. And from 6,000 laps for me driving to work one way, I would have to drive that same road for 27 years, every single day of work, in order, assuming a 5-day work week, maybe take some vacation days off, I would have to drive that same road for 27 years every single day to work to have the same number of laps that I have on the Nürburgring. So I have to ask you guys, if you drove to work for 27 years on the same route, you would know where every stop sign was. You'd know where every stoplight was. You would know what buildings were where, what construction sites were where from yesterday to today, and what was going on. You would understand it in a way that nobody else would know that route that you took every day. You would understand different times of the day, what the traffic's going to be like. You would have it to a point where you really weren't thinking about that route. You were just driving it, and in the back of your mind, you could close your eyes and you could do that route, and you know where the pothole is, and you'd remember how it got worse over each year and everything like that. But that 27 years of me driving the same road has been compressed down into one short period of time because we're running so many laps. So what's ultimately happened is we've gotten to the point where myself, other people at Apex, other people at the Nürburgring, race drivers that come out and just have fun during TF, we've gotten to the point where we know the track in a way that we're not stressed by it. There's no situation on the Nürburgring that I go out in and am worried to do a lap. I'm not worried about snow. I'm not worried about rain. I know the wet line. I know or at least I know the wet line that I like to be safe on. I know the dry line. I know where these undulations are. And the only question that comes in now is obviously the mechanics of your car. How safe is it? And what are other people on the track doing? And these people, if you talk to many people that have a lot of laps on the track, thousands of laps plus, they will tell you that they've gotten to the point in TF that you can read the other drivers. You know the track enough that if you see that somebody's entering the turn on the inside, they're going to push out on the outside. You know where the track goes after that. So you understand by watching them as you're approaching them and as you're catching them, you start to understand what they're doing. And I think that this is relayed in all of your professional lives as well. If you have a job, whether it be in finance and engineering, whether you're a construction worker, you know exactly where you keep the nails in your bag and you take it out and you hit it without even thinking about it. Whereas the average person is going to probably smash their thumb, break their finger because they just took it out and just hit it real quick and destroyed themselves. But you're pounding in nails with 1 or 2 hits and moving along. And the same thing happens with if you work with firearms. If you're police or military and you're working with firearms, you're throwing the clip in and doing all these things, assembling and disassembling your gun while somebody's yelling at you. It comes natural to you. And I think we need to understand that when driving the Nordschleife, every single lap we take very seriously. We're worried about safety, we're worried about precautions. But at the same time, we're not worried about the track itself. We're not worried about the people on it. We're worried about just making sure that everything is done correctly and smoothly. And that's why we do take it easy. That's why we do push to drive in a natural manner on the Nürburgring. So that just gives you a little bit of an idea of why maybe we seem so casual on the track. It's because we are very comfortable there. There's often times that I've got my 5-year-old daughter with me in the car, my 8-year-old son. They collectively have pushing on 800 laps now on the Nürburgring with me driving them. My son's first laps were when he was, I guess, 1 year old, and my daughter was on the Nürburgring when my wife was pregnant with her for many, many laps. Her first laps when she was born were in an Audi A8 that we had, and she would be crying, so we'd throw her in the car, and the 4 of us would go for laps and put her to sleep. And she never made it past carousel until she was about 3 years old. She would always fall asleep before the carousel. They both now get on the track, and they have an understanding of the track. They know where it goes, they know the line, and they want to learn about it. And they're becoming comfortable with the track, but we are very, I would say, we stress the importance of track safety and understanding what happens if the car dies, what happens if anything happens at all, how do we get over the barriers and how do we get away? And of course, there's a risk. But I've gotten to the point where I feel safer with my kids on the racetrack than I do running down the Autobahn with somebody putting on their makeup, with somebody eating food. I've seen people reading books. At least on the Nürburgring, I know everybody's going in one direction, and they have one goal, and that is to go in that direction, in most cases, as fast as they possibly can. When somebody's on the limit, you know what they're doing. If you're on the wrong line and you're on the limit, I know where you're going to go off in the grass. If you're on the right line and you're on the limit, then you're probably going to be following the line and the desired trajectory. So these are all things that we take into consideration when we're driving on the track. It's the reason why you guys look to people in these positions for coaching on the Nürburgring, because they do have the experience, because they do get in the car and they're comfortable and they bring that calmness to you guys. And one of our big jobs, I would say, maybe it be self-made or self-appointed, is to have fun on the Nürburgring, but to also show that it can be safe if you're sane and that TF can be enjoyable. we went out and ran the E30 and had an absolute blast, laughing and looking around and seeing the sights. As Rally Racing 9 said, the Nürburgring is a special place. It's a place that needs to be taken seriously, but it's also a place that you need to appreciate. We don't go out to set lap times. I might get, if I have a season pass, but if I was paying €30 a lap, I'd have to ask myself, do I want to go out and push hard and push fast and take a bad line, take an uncomposed lap, smoke my front tires, smoke my brakes, all because I'm getting €30, I want to get my full €30 out of it? Or do I want to take my time, enjoy it, learn the line, and actually have something of benefit from my €30 per lap? And that is a true enjoyment and an appreciation of what is the best racetrack in the world in my mind. So that's really where I would go with that. And all I really have to say on the topic, because I think anything more than that becomes rambling if it wasn't already. But what do I want to do for these guys? Part of this whole thing of having so many people coming to the Nürburgring and contact with so many people and just loving it so much, as with all these people that come in contact with us, I have some friends who are actually from the Pista Owners group, and they said to me that they wanted to help me do some giveaways and different things like that because they love the ring as well, and they wanted to help share what we're doing. And one of them in particular, he contacted me and said, "Hey, Robert, I want to help a couple people get to the Nürburgring, so let's pick some people and make this happen." So what we're going to do is, for both of these guys, Silky 6 and Rally Racing 9, I'd like to invite you guys to the Nürburgring. We're going to cover your travel to get to Apex. We're going to give you guys a couple nights hotel room. It depends where you're coming from. You need to reach out to me, depending on where you're coming from. And we're going to take you around the Nürburgring. We should line it up with a track day so you can get some taxi stuff you can drive. And I want you guys to see what it's like on the Nürburgring, what we love so much about it, and maybe why we're so casual about it, but at the same time, how we do take it seriously. So you guys probably know how to contact me better than I know how to contact you. Shoot me an email, get on Instagram, write me, and we'll definitely set something up. But I hope you guys take this up. Silky 6 for being so reasonable, and you really deserve it because you came through and made a very wise decision and said, "Hey, I'm not completely happy with my statements." And Rally Racing, because I can see deep down you do love cars and you really appreciate the Nürburgring, and I want to bring you out and show you how we operate on the Nürburgring, why we love the Nürburgring, and maybe you can see our perspective on a little bit more. So anyways, you two guys reach out to us. Again, thank you all for the comments. Thank you for everything that you guys are doing. Really, really appreciate it. This channel is all for you guys. So if there's anything you want to see, please drop it in the comments and we'll get to it. We'll catch you guys later.